This is Amy Chan from CakeDecoratingSchool.com, and if you like cake decorating, you're in the right place. Welcome to our flower series. In this video, we'll be piping buttercream petunias. It's broken down into steps, so you can skip ahead, rewind, and rewatch as desired. We're going to get started on making our buttercream petunias, and the first thing we're going to do is make our colors. We're just using American-style buttercream, and I'm going to make 3 colors and use a little extra white buttercream to complete the look of our flower. I'm going to make 2 of my colors in the same bowl, and it's going to be 2 shades of a nice kind of purpley pink. So we're going to use the following liquid gel colors: violet, neon bright pink, lemon yellow, royal blue, and finally, just a little bit of coal black. And to start with, we're going to use some of the neon bright pink and some of the violet, and I've got both of those out on my lid here, just little quantities, and we're going to make a lighter shade. And you want to think kind of like a lilac-y vibe, where it's a mix of purple and pink. And we're going to use these colors of purple to stripe our bag. So kind of equal amounts, pink and purple. Just get it in there, mix it around a touch. We're going to make kind of a light shade, and then I'm going to scoop some of it to the side and make a darker shade. We're a little more purple than pink right now. You can kind of see it's definitely purple vibes, so I just want to give it just a touch more of that pink. It's getting there, just a little more. I don't want the color to be too dark for this first shade. We just want to make a nice kind of in-between color. And that is looking lovely. So I'm going to take just a little bit of that, move it over to one side, save it for myself. So about half. And then I'm going to scoop the rest of it down to the bottom edge there. It's one of the reasons I like the big bowls. And I'm going to go a healthy dose of both. So I'm just going to get what's left on my lid, just to use up that color. And I'm probably going to do like a half drop of each in here. So still same kind of like equal amounts, purple and pink. And I can add a little more pink later if I need to, but I want to make a nice intense color. And what we're going to do is kind of a color fade on these. It's going to go from a rich, dark purple in the center to kind of white on the edges of the petals. And that's looking good. Got a nice darker shade. Just want to go a little more. I want to make sure that that color difference is really nice and drastic, and that we're making a nice kind of vibrant shade here. I actually do just a little bit of extra pink. I'll make a nice, very saturated hue. There we go. Now it's easy to see we've got a really nice big difference between those 2 shades, but they're basically 2 hues of the same color. So we'll put this to the side, and we'll use these colors to stripe our bag. Our next color is going to be some green for our centers, and I just have a little bit of yellow, royal blue, and black out here. And I'm just going to do a few specks of my yellow, get 1 or 2 of my blue, and then finally 1 black. I want this green to have kind of that light, sagey ice plant kind of vibe where it has some gray in it. I want it to be a little dull. I want it to sit there in the center, but I don't really want it to detract attention from my pretty petals. So I don't want it to be too bright or vibrant or even electric. Sometimes with that lemon yellow, it gets really bright. It's almost like a luminescent kind of feel to it with that yellow. Just fantastic when that's what you want. So getting there, just think a little more of that gray and we'll be perfect. A little more black. Beautiful. There we go. So we have a nice gray, kind of gray-green. It's a nice shade. It's nice and light, kind of a light, kind of sagey kind of color. It's going to be beautiful as the centers of our flowers. We are going to use 2 bags for this project. The first is with a number 16, so a small star tip. And you can see that has our nice, lovely, kind of light sagey green in it. And the second is going to have all of our other colors in it. And for this, we're using a 125 tip. And you can see I've got my bag folded over and I haven't loaded it yet. And that's because every once in a while we like to go ahead and stripe a bag on camera so you all can see this. It gets a bit redundant because once you know how to do it, it's actually pretty easy. Seems a little daunting because we're putting different layers of color in a bag, but it's actually pretty simple. To start with, fold your bag over halfway. You don't want to overload it. You can always load more of your color combination in later, and the mixing and blending that happens just a touch is actually wonderful. Makes for a nice natural effect, so don't worry too much about that. And I like using my offset tapered spatulas, so you can see those nice thin ones, to get some nice controlled lines. So I'm just going to use that and press some white against the top line of my bag. And you can see that I have a nice controlled line there of white that lines up with the skinny end of that tip. There we go. You can kind of see. So I've got that skinny end at top, and the white, when I push it down, is going to go straight towards the top of that. I'm just going to load a tiny bit more. So it's really easy just to take your bag, kind of like, I don't know, I think of it like smearing, I don't know, condiments in a hot dog bun almost is probably a good way to put it. So got the white lined up with that narrow opening, and then I want to go ahead and line the light purple up right on top of that. So just take my spatula, get that purple from the side of the cup right here, and go right on top of it. So just drawing little lines right there, right on top. And this means that when we squeeze, we're going to get these great little bands of color where we get white, light purple, and then dark purple. So just going in there, nice and controlled, and you'll notice I'm not going all the way to the tip. So I'm stopping just a little bit short of that. That way, if I get a little off and I need to rotate my tip in the end of the bag, I always can, right? Because I haven't already pushed color down in there, so it'll be nice and easy for me. And then I'm gonna go in last with my dark purple. And this is gonna line up with the fat end of the opening of that tip, because this is going to be the centers of the petals. So the centers of the petal, the center of the flower is going to be the darkest. And I can go ahead and smear this right on the opposite side of the bag. And it'll be a little easier to see the color combo when I unfold it. So I'll unfold it, show it to you, and push it down. And to begin with, sometimes the stripes don't always come out exactly the way you want them to. You've got to give it just a little time to build. But you can see it's pretty easy. I'm just kind of smearing it not just in there, but on the sides of the bag a little bit. we go. So just gonna get all that color in there. Put my little spatulas to the side. Then I can fold the top of my bag up. And you can see I have 3 relatively clean segments. And I just want to make sure that as I've got them in there, they kind of line up perfectly with that tip. So if you need to, just adjust and rotate that a little bit. Make sure the white really lines up with that top skinny end. The purple really lines up with that fat end. Rotate it if you need to before you push it down. And a lot of times I just lay it on a table, use my hand or a bowl scraper like a squeegee, and make sure things are lining up. And I can see I might have to squeeze just a little bit to get my purple to come out, but it should come out eventually because it's kind of lining up there with the back. And if we do a quick little squeeze, you can see if I give it a little time, we get that white and light purple, and then we'll start to get that dark purple as well. So that's our bag for our 125 for our petals. Now we're going to review our techniques for our petunia. These are pretty simple flowers, a few simple techniques, and the first one is a ring for support. And for this ring, we're just going to hold the bag straight up and down above the nail. We're going to be away from the center, and we're going to hold and spin our nail while we squeeze. I can't really do this on the tray, but basically we're going to make a little circle of frosting, and we're going to do that 3 times right on top of each other. And that's going to build up a little support ring for our petals to give them this kind of convex shape so that it looks like it's almost a trumpeted flower with the petals kind of flopping over on the edges. And it'll give it kind of that characteristic look of a petunia. For our petals, we're going to make diamond-shaped petals. To start with, the back of the bag is going to be off towards kind of like 130 if we think about a clock face, and that's going to line us up so this opening is at a slant. We're going to kind of attach that fat end right towards the center so that when we pull, we can slide out up to a point. We're going to rotate. In this case, I'm rotating my tray, but it'll be the nail, pull back and go back. And that should give us a nice diamond shape petal. And so the key here is you start out with the back of the bag at 130, we slide on that angle, pull to a point, we're going to rotate the bag and the nail, so now the back is going to be more towards 430, so towards my right shoulder, pull back, and then slide along that last angle. And you can see my dark purple is just now starting to come out. I've squeezed a little more, so I've got all 3 of my stripes, so really good. And the key here is to start with, we're going to be holding the bag at a 45-degree angle. And you can think that's got to happen because we've got that ring of frosting that we're going to kind of work over. So basically what we're going to do is pipe this diamond-shaped little petal over our ring of frosting and back. And if you need to, you can always rock the nail towards you so that that's easier when you're piping. So if you rock towards you, and then rock back. So it's going to be kind of a rocking motion with our flower nail, and that's really going to be key. And I use that a lot when I'm piping over any kind of mound or ring like this. And you can either do that, rock your nail, or you can pull the bag over. But I find visually it's a little helpful to rock the nail towards you because then you can see exactly where your bag is going. But it's more a matter of personal preference than a specific you have to do it this way technique. And finally, our centers. These are going to be really simple to finish. We're using our number 16 tip, and we're going to do some spikes. And if you don't have a 16, you could use another small star tip or even a plain round one. So think like a 14 or number 3 or 4. So we're just going to start slightly above the surface, squeeze, let it connect, and pull up while we're still squeezing. And I think it's going to be just perfect if we do 3 of these and kind of pull them towards a central point. That'll give us a nice little center in the middle of our petunia. We've gone over the techniques for our petunias, so now let's talk about how we put them together to build the blossom. We're going to first pipe our ring, so think about holding that bag straight up and down in relation to your flower nail. We're going to pipe those rings, and we want to be about 2 inches in diameter, right? You need enough of a hole in the middle in there that we can get all those petals in there without them being squished too close together. Once you've got the 3-layered ring going. We're going to change the position of the bag. So remember, 45 degrees with the bag angle, back ends towards 130 to start, and we're gonna pipe those 5 diamond-shaped petals. And we're gonna rock our flower nail kind of back and forth to help us with that. So we're gonna pipe over the mound and then back for each one. Once we've done our 5 petals, hopefully they kind of all meet up right next to each other. You shouldn't see much of that mound, but you might see a little bit. Those are great places if you put these on a cake together to just pop in some little leaves and all of a sudden it disappears. And then you have wonderful, beautifully supported flowers that are going to be easy to lift and put on your cakes and are going to look beautiful decoratively, right? We won't see any of that support underneath if you just kind of pop a few leaves in there. And then finally, we'll finish them off with our number 16 tip. So we'll just do that nice little center that we made by making 3 spikes with that 16 tip. And there you have lovely petunias. So I've got my large flower nail out. I'm going to use this to pipe. I'm going to give myself a little dab of buttercream, and I'm going to use my little 5-part template. Stick on there, get it kind of in the middle, and then I'll use another little dab to adhere on my parchment paper. And this gives me a nice guide, not only for each petal, getting them approximately the same size, approximately in the right place, but also a nice guide for the diameter of my ring because I want to be just inside here. So just going to line myself up kind of towards the outside edge, straight up and down, my nails straight up and down, and I'm going to pipe that ring. And it doesn't have to be totally perfectly circular. You just got to get it on there. Don't be too close to the surface because we want it to have a little bit of height to it. And I'm just going to do kind of like 3 little revolutions. And you can see that gives me a little bit of height to that. Not too much, just a little bit that we're going to build those petals over. Our next step is going to be petals. So I'm just going to pick a place to start. And I've got the back of my bag at 130. I'm at a 45-degree angle with the actual bag, so not lay flat, not upright, right? At that nice in-between angle. And that's going to allow me to touch down at the center, squeeze, slide along that angle. I'm going to rock the nail towards me and then go back. And you can see I've got those dark centers of those petals. I've got a nice diamond shape to it. It's looking gorgeous. And if you slide a little bit, that's okay. Just kind of scooch everything back towards the center if you need to. And just go in and do your next petal right next to it. And I can see the divisions still right there in the center. Rock, over, and back, so that I know where I am spacing-wise, how wide to make my petals, because I don't want them to be too wide and I don't want them to be too skinny. I want them to take up that whole area. So that we really have a nice looking flower there. You can barely see the mound. It'll just be easy to pop in a few leaves right underneath there. We've got a nice dark center and light edges and that wonderful color gradient to each of those petals. To finish off our flowers, you can see just a little bit messy there in the center. We're going to hold everything straight up and down. I've got my 16 tip and just go a little bit off center because we want to do 3 of these and pull them together. So a little bit off center, make that first spike, and then make the second and the third, and just kind of pull them all to a central point. And that'll give you a nice, easy little center to finish these petunias. They look lovely, they're nice, you can make them in a whole range of colors. They come in pretty much every color of the rainbow except for blue, like most flowers, but you know, there's just a great way to finish a cake. It's great for practicing because you really only have one technique for the petals. The support ring is really easy to make. I can slide this easily off my nail onto a tray, chill them, and then they'll be easy to handle and put on my cakes, cupcakes, or other creations. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more of our flower tutorials, try checking out some of those classics like our Basic Rose and Daisy for other great lessons. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like more about the cake decorating materials and equipment we use, or just some inspirational videos about cake decorating itself, you can follow us on Insta or YouTube at Cake Decorating School. If you'd like to know more about yearly membership and what it entails, you can go to www.cakedecorating.school.com for more information. And if you're interested in these products, you can check the links in the description.